Hi, this is Lori Mills. Welcome to season 2 of Uncover California. We are here in our new studio, JB Productions, and we are so happy to be here. Today, we're going to be visiting with some candidates running for something that you're going to see on the ballot March 5th. It's called Central Committee. What is Central Committee? Well, if you're familiar with the structure of body politics, can't talk. What you will know is basically the GOP is run in factions. You've got the National Republican Party, which trickles down to the states. Here in California, we have the California GOP. From there, it goes to districts. We're in the Central Coast District. From there, it goes to the county. We're in Ventura County. From there, it goes to the cities. So there's a structure from the bottom up that formats what happens in our body politics. Today, I'm sitting with people that are running for the Central Committee, and I as well am running for the Central Committee, District 4 in Simi Valley. I'd like to welcome to the show Richard Lucas, Don Brodt, and Tim McCarthy. So let's start with you, Tim McCarthy.
All right.
What district are you running in, and why?
I am running in District 2, which covers Thousand Oaks, Newbury Park, Oak Park, Somas, Westlake Village, and I think that covers it.
Yeah, and Tim and I have been friends for a long time. He works with an organization called Move the Needle. He is the founder. It's the largest grassroots organization in Conejo Valley. And I'm honored to be related and with you guys. Tell me a little bit about your organization. I love the story, how this all started.
Well, it really answers the question, can one person do something by themselves? And for me, I've never been into politics up until about 2020. And I was watching Supreme Court nominee Kavanaugh go through the trials with the Senate Judiciary Committee. And I noticed that the Democrat Party just kept hammering him and tried to really take away his livelihood and really destroy this man. And while I was sitting there, I thought, he's our age, he's got kids like us. What would I do in that position? I was really frustrated and very angry.
And you know what's interesting about that? At this local level, we see these same games. We see these same games afoot. We had a Central Committee meeting last night. Unfortunately, a lot of the dirt is done behind closed doors. And I can't discuss those things or I'd be violating bylaws. However, I had two very good friends kind of stab me in the back because they don't want me to run. I've been censored in the community. They don't want me to speak at events because the Good Old Boys Club does not want to be broken up. I think that the GOP needs unity. It's what I've tried to bring to the party. And unfortunately, those in power now do not want that. Why are you running, Tim?
Well, if you remember, I ran for supervisor in 2022, mostly because of election integrity was on the ballot.
Yes.
And at that time, the county and cities were making us mask up and forcing us to get vaccination. And I'm against everything government pushes related to against my freedom of will.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm running because I found during the election process that the Central Committee, which should be supporting candidates, chooses which candidates they want to support and then ignore the other candidates, even though they may endorse them. They do not back them and do not provide any guidance on what they can do to win.
Yeah, and that's really interesting because, as you know, I ran for the State Assembly District 42. And unfortunately, there were those in the party in Ventura County. I'd already had the LA GOP endorsement. And I went for the endorsement from our home party. And they said, we're not going to endorse you and block my endorsement by one vote because I was friends with those people. And that's a huge problem because the party seems to have lost touch with the grassroots. Don Brodt was a candidate for school board. And Don is here today. He's another Central Committee candidate. I can tell you when I was running, the party really didn't help me. Don Brodt set up the call centers. He taught the candidate campaign sidekick and worked probably harder than any Central Committee member did. Don, introduce yourself and tell us why you're running.
Yeah, my name is Don Brodt. I live in Simi Valley, running for Central Committee in District 4. So they follow the supervisorial districts, the county supervisor districts. So District 4 is Simi Valley Moore Park. And I found while I was a candidate that so much more could get done if we did not care about who got the credit, famous Reagan quote. And don't worry about who gets the credit. Just we all get out there and help each other, try to get work done. I found we could accomplish so much more. So as a candidate, I went to the GOP convention. While there, learned how to use some free tools that the California GOP provides for candidates. And I realized, wait a minute, this could benefit all the candidates in our area. So as soon as I got the chance, I started teaching other people how to do it.
You taught me. You had my whole team running, and I thank you so much because without the party, we got 49% of the vote in Ventura County against a 5-time incumbent.
Right.
And that was unheard of. A woman who lied about me, told everybody I had Hitler ideology. I mean, her campaign was disgusting. But because of you, I think that I really excelled. And I want to see you on this committee. I want to see Tim on this committee. I want to see people that are in touch with the grassroots. Now, we'll get more into what you did in a little bit. I want to introduce Richard Lucas to the crowd. Richard and I are newer friends.
Well, thank you, Lori.
Yes, yes. Tell us a little bit about why you're running.
My name is Richard Lucas III, lifelong Camarillo resident, and along with my wife Carly, we've got a 6.5-year-old daughter and a newborn son that's about 13 weeks old. We carried on the namesake, so he is Richard Lucas IV. And I'm here to really challenge people in leadership, to be better, to work local. My wife and I helped spearhead a recall effort in Camarillo, where we had a couple council members that jumped on the BLM defund the movement. Ugh. And we ran a successful recall. Unfortunately, we did not reach the threshold of signatures that we needed. But one of the astonishment things that we learned was just how the GOP didn't have mechanisms in place with volunteers, letter writers. Right. The list could go on and on. And as a lifelong Republican, that really concerned me. Yeah. Because I'm thinking, well, how do we find new candidates? How would a candidate learn how to campaign if the Central Committee is not able to help them?
Yeah, as a candidate, you really have to seek out the help. Like, we went to Sacramento together. We went and took classes. And I'm very happy that the California GOP does provide those things for us. Right. Yet at the same time, I think all of us, we could have used more help.
Well, and if it was provided at a local level,
and it's not.
It's that much more effective.
Right. And I know for Tim and I mean, we busted our buns. And we actually were betrayed in a sense, in a lot of ways. And it was disappointing. And to this day, I'm trying to reach across. We need to be united. And it's not happening.
Well, it really starts at the foundation of wanting to help other people. Right now, we have a problem with power over progress.
Amen.
And this is at all levels. And we didn't see this because we've always been on the sideline. But now that we've been into the trenches with a lot of people and a lot of other candidates have become our friends, we realize that decisions are made above the Central Committee and pushed down of who they want to see move forward. And instead of taking new ideas and new information from new people, it's how do we keep everything in its own bubble so that we can control the outcome the way we want to control it. We had a lot of great candidates in 2022.
We did. John Barrick.
John Barrick should have won.
Yeah.
Right. There's a number of candidates. The school board members got no help. And basically, you have to learn by hard knocks of just spending money and walking and hoping somebody helps you. And the Central Committee should have established some strategies on what do you do at each level, so people are off and running right away opposed to spending the first 2 months trying to figure it out, how to raise money, how do you set up a bank account so that you can legally accept money. There's a bunch of stuff that has to happen, and the Central Committee sort of has a hands-off approach to that whole level.
Unless you're their chosen candidates.
That's right. That's right.
The anointed ones, so to say. And I think that's the one thing that got to me, and I think Don and I have talked about this before, is the level of disrespect.
Right.
You know, I remember election night, and there I was, probably outperforming most of the candidates. They called everybody up on stage to talk but me. The level of disrespect I have received from this party while I keep trying to unite us has been unbelievable to me. Unbelievable. And I know that Dawn, we've discussed it. You told me you felt like you were spit in the face.
Right.
Tell me about that.
So incidents happen. Recently there was a street fair in our town in Simi Valley, and I thought, I just want to help all Republicans. There's always a booth there called Simi Valley Democrats. I'd like to have a booth called Simi Valley Republicans, because if they're going to do it,
Why not us?
We should
and
be
let our
visible too.
candidates be there, right?
Right. So I talked to some Central Committee members. I said, hey, do I need to get any special permission? They said, no, just go for it. Do it. That's a great idea. You're helping the party. Okay. So I moved ahead. Suddenly I got a phone call from the event organizers, and they said, well, we heard you're not allowed to use the word Republican. Do you know anything about that? Well, I'm a registered Republican, so...
Ran as a Republican,
Right.
endorsed as a Republican,
Right.
give money to the Republican Party.
So we were able to make some phone calls and clear that up, but just the matter of, why did that even happen? Why did somebody feel the need to contact the event organizer and say, oh, Don Brodt is not allowed to use the word Republican? Were they threatened that we had a good idea? Let's just be visible to the community. Why is that a bad idea?
Well, because you're not one of the chosen ones. You know, and that's the problem. That's the problem. When somebody takes the time, like we did, Tim, Don, we had businesses that were thriving. You can't functionally work your business and run for office. Running for office becomes a full-time job. The amount of sacrifice, the amount of money, the amount of time away from your family, and then to have people basically stab you in the back while you're trying to move forward, because let's face it, this party has lost our state. We're losing our country. People, if you are happy with the Republican Party, vote incumbent. But in order for us to get change, some of them are gonna have to go. And it's not that they're not good people. I mean, I like a lot of the people on the Central Committee. I think that Carrie Nelson has done a hell of a job. She actually takes money out of her own pocket to hold functions. I like her. I think Lindsay Stetson, I know there's some people that are not full fans. I like her. She helped us get involved with Trailblazers. She led us to the way. But there are people in our party that are in it that don't show up. I think Ray Cruz was the only one in our district that ever even went to one of my fundraisers. Feel free to jump in. I'm just getting on a little, I'm angry. I'm angry about what happened last night. I'm angry that I'm currently working on a fundraiser because the party's broke to help them earn money. Because now that we're running and they've never been challenged, now all of a sudden they want to do things. And they have the gall and the audacity to do what they did last night, which again, I can't talk about because it was behind closed doors, because that's where they like to hit you.
I think that one of the things that, because I lived in Camarillo my whole life, and so I'm learning about the Simi stuff. But, if we look at our Constitution, we're a constitutional republic. A lot of times people throw around, oh, it's a democracy.
It's not a democracy.
We're not. And I think that we're in a unique opportunity in the March primary. All 5 districts in Ventura County for registered Republicans, those voters are going to have a choice. And so like you were saying a minute ago, if you're happy with your current Republican Party and the establishment, vote for the incumbent.
Yeah,
But
we'll
if-
get out of the way.
If you're looking around at what's going on in our schools, if you're looking around at what happened with the defund movement and the fact, I mean, where was the Republican Party? I'm telling you, my wife and I poured our heart and soul into that recall effort, and the Central Committee was nowhere.
Yeah.
There was
Well-
promises that were made to us, and they never came to fruition.
And that's one of the reasons you're running, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Well, the other part is if we peel the onion back a little bit, right? Linda Parks was in her role for 20 years. Jackie Irwin's been there for more than 10.
And she's an evil, evil woman.
Julia Brownlee's been there for 20 years, and Henry Stern's been there. We have a supermajority Democrat in the state of California, and a lot of that this is just our district. We have all these Democrats have won. That comes from what the Central Committee does, right? The Central Committee should recruit good candidates. Just because someone wants to run as a Republican doesn't mean they're a good Republican candidate.
At the same time, us that were not recruited that wanted to run, they didn't like that because they couldn't control us.
Yeah.
We were not their anointed ones.
Right.
So I'd like to explain a little more about Central Committee. So each county in the state and each party in the county has their own Central Committee.
Yeah.
So there's a committee for Democrat Party, there's a committee for Republican Party, there's a committee for the Green Party. Each county has a Central Committee. That's a function of the California Constitution. It's always going to be there. We cannot simply ignore the Central Committee and, let's go start our own club over here. Central Committee still matters. So when we say Central Committee, we're referring to the Republican Central Committee. But earlier, Tim was explaining instructions often come from the top down, and it doesn't have to be that way. They would like us to believe, oh, California GOP says you need to do this, do it. The RNC says do this, do it. No, we exist according to the California Constitution. That being said, you actually can't tell us what to do. Every Republican Central Committee in the state of California, each county has their own. They all have different bylaws. They all operate independently. They're not a junior charter of the California GOP. They are their own legal entity. And we are able to represent the people. We're able to represent the people in a way that California GOP is simply not able to, because the more local it is, the closer it is to the truth.
And that's something else that with the current makeup of the qualified candidates, we're sitting up here talking about the Republican Central Committee. The current makeup of the Democrat Central Committee, out of the 5 districts, 4 of the 5 districts didn't get enough qualified candidates. So the Democrats aren't going to be able to vote on any Central Committee members, so there's no representation.
Well, they don't want to change it. And something that people don't understand, our candidates for the most part are grassroots candidates. And unfortunately, the Democrat Party are supported by corporations, lobbyists. We will never raise enough money to equal that. But if we band together and our party works together to get the candidates elected and not pick the chosen golden geese, we could get a lot further. Let's talk about the endorsement process, Tim. I know there was a little bit of a scuffle about CRA endorsements lately. And so 3 years ago, I was vice president of the California Republican Assembly. When I ran for the state assembly, I backed out of that and put my whole heart and soul into running for the assembly. I have not gone back to that. They had a convention where their membership endorsed candidates. And it's my understanding now that there's a couple candidates that are upset about being endorsed by the voters and have decided to go on attack on other people. Talk about the endorsement process that moved the needle.
Yeah, so we look at all the candidates that are running, and we try to interview as many as we can. We do research into what they say on Facebook and social media. Have they gone to any of the Women's Republicans group and had their 5-minute speech that they're allowed to do? And then we ask them usually some questions about where do they stand related to the Constitution, about parental rights. What are you going to fight for, really? Are you just going to be somebody that just brushes things and lets it go by? Or are you going to stand firm for the people? Like Don said, we're here to represent the people.
Right.
And are those people really going to stand up for us, especially today when we're in dire situation in California because there's so much oppression that's happening where people can't afford to live, jobs are hard to find, and you got a southern border that's wide open that's going to cause a problem.
In violation of Article 4, Section 4 of the U.S. Constitution.
Yeah, I think one of the challenges with the endorsement is if you have too many candidates, then you have to pick one.
Right, and it's eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Well, you pick one, and then the other 3 or 4 don't get out of the race because there was no process at the beginning for the Republican Party to go, you know what, let's have a caucus and find out which is the best candidate that makes sense for the Republican Party. And then from that caucus, you make a decision that says, the people have just chosen from a caucus that 80% of the people like Lori Mills versus 20% over here. So Lori Mills, you're going to get the support for the Republican Party. And the other candidate should say, okay, well, if the people have already voted at this level, maybe I should step out. And now we have one person running for an office as opposed to what you see like in the U.S. Senate today where we have so many people running.
Yeah, and split the vote. Eric Early was ahead in that race. And it is just shameful to me. He was beating Schiff and Porter, you guys. Schiff and Porter. He was winning. And a baseball player from back in the 80s decided to step in the race and split the vote. Although there's a lot of Republicans splitting that vote right now. But, yeah, crazy.
Back to your point with the endorsement process. So often we're afraid to hurt feelings.
Yeah.
I can't tell that person I don't support them because I don't want to hurt their feelings. This is not about feelings. It's about what's best for our country, our community, our cities, our families, our schools, everything. It's not a matter of protecting somebody's feelings or hurting someone's feelings. Yeah, I don't want to go around and intentionally be a jerk to people that live around me. At the same time, sometimes it's necessary to say something as simple as, you know what, I'm going to put my support over here instead of with you. And if that hurts your feelings, I'm sorry.
Right.
Yeah, Richard had a great line the other night when he said, some truth needs to be told.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe you can elaborate on
Tell
that.
us some truth. Come on, truth.
Come on, Pastor.
Preach it.
People are not the enemy. They're the opportunity.
Yep.
And it takes a steady hand to guide a group of people through the events that we've had in the last 4 years. I mean, be it the COVID, the lockdown, the forced vaccinations, the forced masking, the shuttering of businesses, the at home with the children. I mean, there's just so much there. And then you have the civil rights aspect of, all the protesting and then the call for there's so much that affected us as a community. And if we don't have good leadership that's able to lend a hand at saying truthful things, we're just lost as a party. We're lost as a people.
And again, we've already lost the state. What is it going to take for people to wake up? And I think that's what's so important with today's show is, and Tim, you said it, at your own grassroots organization. You asked your group how many people knew what Central Committee was. And their answer when I had posed that question to an incumbent, he had said, it's to register voters and support candidates. Well, we weren't supported. And not only that, it's bigger than that. There's delegates involved. There's votes involved. Siaka Massaquoi, Cole Bricado, and I went to the California GOP with 8 delegates and lobbied for more and had 14. Because of that, they tried to take God out of our platform. They tried to take life out of our platform. And they tried to take marriage out of our platform. And you know what? Because we were there to speak your voice as a people, we were there for you. We were able to save those things. And if you just have people that are toeing the line, you don't have a voice. And we want to be your voice.
Well, I think that's why a lot of people have a problem with Trump, right?
MAGA, I am a MAGA candidate. I am not ashamed. Deal with it.
Unapologetic.
He's unapologetic. He just speaks, the truth, however it comes out from him, is his New Jersey method of speaking.
Queens.
Yeah, and I happen to be from Jersey, so I get what he has to
And
say.
he's a transactional guy.
Yeah. So but a lot of people don't like, the hard punches or the straight in your face kind of comments. Like Richard's saying, truth is hard for a lot of people to accept, and not just in politics, but in life in general.
Right.
And I think where we're at today, there's been a supermajority Democrat for 20 years in California, and we have no water. Right?
Yeah.
They're trying to push electricity for cars, and we have no electric power.
Yeah.
Just the infrastructure of taking away parents' rights. When you drop a kid off at school, it belongs to the state, right? There's so many things that are wrong that we should be unified to fight for the values of the Republican Party back from Ronald Reagan and take back the state. And in order to do that, we have to unify as a party. Instead of half of us pulling to the left and half of us pulling to the right, we got to find that common ground of values. And to be honest, 90% of us all agree on the same things, right? The nuclear family, right? Market capitalism, right? Less government, more people. But there's just some factions that want to be more on let's give stuff to the government and let them control things.
One, are they controlled by lobbyists and corporations? That's the thing. They seem to care more about the lobbyists and the corporations than they do the people.
Right.
Now, you said something interesting there, and I want to pry into that a little bit more. And that is unity. Again, I've tried to work with both sides. I think out of anybody, I probably get along with people that have been in office longer, yet they're the ones that keep stabbing me in the back. The people that they're mad at, those people are the ones that have had my back. So how am I supposed to take that? Tim, what would you do to unify the party?
Start from scratch, questionnaires. The challenge is, and if we look at the Democrat Party, which I hate to do, but if we look at the Democrat Party and Chuck Schumer, he's like, listen, we have a bill and we'll be bipartisan as long as you do it our way. So the conversation is about let's do unifying, but you have to do it this way as opposed to a compromised way. And I think it's that compromise piece where what we don't know is what kind of power they have,
Right.
and what pulls their strings, and what effect does it have if they lose the election.
Upstream.
Upstream. What we're just trying to do is we talk to the people on the street. We
'Cause
have
we're-
families because we're grassroots.
Right.
And they're saying the same thing, that I'm not giving any money to the Republican Party because I don't trust them. They're not putting.
I heard that all throughout my campaign. I don't give money to the party.
They're not putting good candidates up, right? They're not trained candidates. And therefore, they either go to the Libertarian Party or they go to the Independents or no party preference. And bringing them back is very difficult because you don't have anything to prove. Again, Linda Parks was there for 20 years. All these Democrats have been there for years. And the Central Committee's job is to find some way to win, not accept that we have less Republicans than Democrats. As a good coach of a team, you have to find a way to win. You've got to be strategic about it. You can't just give up and say, okay, maybe next year's a better year.
Well, and case in point, they got up at your event the other night and said, and jump in, guys, because we're blabbermouths. But case in point, they were saying, oh, but we only have 37 Republicans. The percentage against the voters, the percentages. And I'm like, then how did I get 49% in Ventura County?
I wanted to stand up that night because I was the second to the last speaker. And I wanted to stand up and basically say, you know what, as I've listened to the establishment incumbents here, I think we just all need to go home right now, put our house on the market, give our 2-week notice, and move to Tennessee like
Cole Bricado did.
Yes, and 4 of my direct coworkers.
Hey, Cole.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Cole,
what's
we
going on,
love you.
Cole?
We miss
What's
you
up,
so much,
Cole?
Cole.
And
You guys will have to cut that so we can send it to him.
So with the voter registrations, you have to realize in 2010, the Democrat voter registrations and Republican voter registrations in Ventura County were nearly equal. They were
Yeah.
within a few thousand of each other. Now, the Democrat voter registrations, I think there are around 80,000 more than there are Republican registrations.
At the same
What happened,
time, and at the same time, I think a lot of people, from what I've heard, and you guys, concur if you think so, have told me that they're sick of our party not fighting. I'm ready to go on offense. I'm ready to take them down. I will not be silenced. You will not be silenced. And it's funny, Dawn, you know, the chairman had called me a while back saying, you know, Lori, this is going to get really messy, especially in Thousand Oaks. And I was thinking,
Good.
yeah, Thousand Oaks, the gloves are going to be off. It's going to be a bloodbath. And Tim had all the candidates over for a very polite, professional event where they got to pitch their campaigns. Dawn and I have been censored. And let me tell you something. I've been censored by Mark Zuckerberg. I've been censored by Jack from Twitter. Thank you, Elon, for opening up Twitter to free speech again. But I will be damned if I'm going to be censored by John Absmeyer. We had an event in Simi Valley. They ran the other candidates along. John Absmeyer looks at me and says, "You're not talking." They will not let us speak because they don't like being challenged. These guys have been in office forever. Nobody's ever run against them. As somebody that was a candidate, saw the lack of support, I'm pissed. I'm pissed. I'm over it.
Rightly so.
Yeah, there's a lot of animosity that comes in running for politics.
Yeah.
And you really don't know it until you get into it and you find out really who your friends are. And,
Well, and and again, there's a good saying, if you want a friend in politics, get a dog. Well, I have 5.
you got a lot of friends then.
Yeah, I got 5 dogs, so I'm good.
Well, I think it seems like even though people say they want to change or they want to see change, right? Hopefully every Republican wants to fix California.
Yes.
Hopefully that everybody does. But in order to do that, what we've done for the last 20 years does not work. It's proven history. It does not work the way we do it. And it starts at the local level, and politics are always local. That's what they teach you. Politics are local. Well, it doesn't get any more local than the Central Committee, which is really just another word for local GOP.
Exactly.
Right.
That's what it is, guys. The Ventura County Central Committee is the Ventura County GOP.
But we just need to accept that change is needed. And it doesn't mean you have to change your personality, but you have to open your eyes and open your ears. You know, I come from the corporate world in product development, and we didn't only get developers and engineers from the security industry. We brought people in from the dental industry, from the manufacturing industry, because you need a new set of eyes and new ideas to come in that kind of that get you start with just a spark of something, and somebody's, oh, I never thought about it that way. Let me look at it from a 3-dimensional standpoint.
Right.
And all we're saying as candidates up here is we want change because we want to improve the outcome of the elections in the local Ventura County area so that those people can move up the list and make bigger change that helps the families that we care about.
Well, and again, to get outside the bubble. There seems to be a bubble in the Republican Party. They're talking to they're preaching to the choir. We need community outreach.
Yeah, when we had the Camarillo recall, I was fortunate enough to talk to about 3,000 Camarillo residents, and that was one of the things I always challenged people. I'm like, talk to your neighbor. People are not the enemy.
Yeah.
Let me repeat that. People are not the enemy. They're the opportunity. There is more in us that unites us than divides us. But I think it takes leadership. It takes the ability to talk to one another and put aside what a lot of the media is trying to do is pit us apart from each other.
Well, and unfortunately, there's people within the party doing that.
Yes.
You know, I was so excited working on with one of the incumbents under the direction of the chairman of the GOP to do a huge, and I mean huge, fundraiser.
Right.
And here I am working. We did that resolution last night. Things were so positive. The doors closed and the knives came out. Tim, you were in the room. Dawn, you were in the room. We can't talk about it.
Right.
But it was disgusting. And it was a lie. And for the people that did it, they should have come to me. The chairman should have come to me. That should have never happened. And again, we can't discuss it, but it was pathetic.
Yeah, it was really an unfortunate situation that took place there. It was totally unnecessary.
Yeah.
And all it did was create
Divide.
more of a divisive atmosphere. Not that we weren't a little divided before, but we did have some common ground.
Yeah,
and we still do. Don't get me wrong. We
Yeah.
still do. I just think it was just another obstacle that was put there that created an environment of us versus them.
Yes.
And we really don't see it that way.
Right.
Right. We just want to change, to improve the
To
outcomes.
win.
Right. The central committee is really responsible for finding the people and getting them into a position to where they can win elections. And it
Right.
doesn't start on the day someone knocks on the door to the central committee asking for an endorsement. It's got to start 2 or 3 or 4 years earlier. And the central committee needs to start introducing those people.
Early.
And not Eric Early, but just early.
Well, we like you, Eric, though.
But getting their name out, meeting the influencers. But you need money to win elections.
Yes,
right?
a lot of
Julia
it.
Brownlee has $700,000 in the bank, right?
Jackie Irwin spent $1.3 million on me.
Yeah, and our candidates, combined have less than $50,000, right? So really, the Republican Party at the local level should have a bank, and every candidate should come up, should have some basic foundation of money. Not that the party just gives them, but says, listen, here's some seed money. You're going to need 1,000 brochures to start. Go to this printer. Here's who we use so you can get a good price.
Right.
Here are the 4 things that we've been promoting that have won in the state of California. Make sure you highlight these areas. Right. And by the way, don't go to this part of the Republican Party or to this part of the Libertarian Party. What you want to do is you want to reach out to parents of schools. There's got to be some strategy that goes on. And that comes when we all get together in a room, we brainstorm, and we come up with the ideas that can win. And then you got to back that out a couple of years and find the people that are willing to follow suit.
What do you think, Dawn?
I think that's a great idea. With that, I would like to see the party taking people who show the slightest bit of interest, help them find a local board or commission. You don't have to go from 0 to 100, meaning you don't go from I've never ran for office to now I'm running for this crazy office. I had to quit my job and I had to make a full-time job out of being a candidate. No, let's start with joining the library commission. Something small, just so that you can get your name in the community, people can learn who you are. Those little small boards and commissions, they're great training for being a candidate.
Right.
I think another thing we can do is kind of like a precinct captain. If you kind of look at it like a neighborhood watch captain.
But see, that's the problem. We have no organization right now. There's the bubble of people that are in and they don't share information with those. We should be bringing people in. We should be developing committees, and
see,
it's not happening.
It worked. The precinct captain model will work because it's what I did.
No, I'm saying that you're correct, but the party hasn't instructed that.
Correct. So, I've been very outspoken on social media for many years, and after the Camarillo recall, when
Newsom,
with Newsom, and
Gascon,
then
all the bad guys.
Yeah. After as we were going to the general election, when Jeff Gorell was running, my wife and I hosted a meet and greet for Jeff as well as Cole Mercado and a couple other candidates.
Did you do one for Tim?
I did not really do one for Tim.
Thank you, Richard.
Oh, Richard.
Lucas the
But look,
third.
we can still love each other,
Yes.
right? This is
And
all good.
I guess what I want to say about the precinct thing, though, the captain, and we'll get back to that in a minute.
No, we can get there now, Richard.
Yeah.
So my wife and I essentially knocked on all the houses around us, probably at least 100 houses, even the Democrats. And we invited everyone to our house and said, hey, come meet the candidates that are running for office. Even if you have a different political view, come ask them about homelessness, ask them about whatever you want to ask them, meet them so that there's some accountability. And we had a lot of fun and a lot of success with it. When I had to go around to get my 20 valid signatures, it wasn't hard because I knew all the people in my neighborhood.
Right.
And I was able to knock on their door or text them and go, hey, this is what I've decided to do. So the precinct captain thing works.
Yeah, and the people, Kevin McNamee had a brilliant strategy. He goes, look, give your neighbors some palm cards and tell them to go for a 10-minute walk in one direction and a 10-minute walk in the other. That was something else I thought was missing in 2022 was there was no coordination between the campaigns. Yes. And due to the lack of people that'll actually be boots on the ground, because let's face it, there's a lot of couch quarterbacks out there that have a lot to say to the TV and on social media, but when it comes to getting their boots on the ground, they don't. But having the campaigns coordinate, like even after the elections, to cure ballots, there was no coordination.
Right.
I just think that, and again, it was never an attack on the incumbents. It was let's make things better. Let's bring everybody together. And it hasn't happened. And every time I try to do that, they hit me.
Well, people get comfortable, right? I mean, we see that with people still wearing masks, right? They got comfortable.
Alone in the car.
Well, they got comfortable
Outside walk,
doing it.
exercising.
They got comfortable with the way life is today, and they forget that there's a constitution. And then there, if you move to Florida, a lot of people go, "Oh, I was in the free state of Florida." Right, I'm in Tennessee, I'm in Texas,
Well, we even say the free city of Simi Valley. I mean, that's one thing. We've got an incredible city. We really do. And I do think that our city council has done a good job running the city.
Yeah.
All right, good.
Yeah.
All right, I'm moving to Simi.
No, well, and again, it's probably one of the last of the Republican cities.
Right.
So
let me just go back on Central Committee just a little bit.
yeah, sorry. I can go off into
No,
different
that's
directions.
okay.
I'm a little bit ADD.
That's okay.
It's a problem I have.
But for the voters out there, you didn't used to see Central Committee on your ballots because there's actually there's 22 seats available in Ventura County District Central Committee positions. But if you only have the required number running for office,
They don't have to
they
run.
don't put it on the ballot, so you never see that. That's why you don't see change, is because they don't go find more people or more ideas, because they don't want to have the risk of losing the election.
Well, and I think that's the problem and the hostility that we're seeing now, is that even though our intentions are good, even though that we want to really forward the party, you've got people that have never had to run against anybody, and they don't like being challenged.
Right.
And I think the public, if we were to poll the GOP today, it's abysmal. The people don't believe in the party anymore. How do we get that back, guys?
I think it starts from leadership, personally, accountability.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't. Last Thursday night at Tim and Jennifer's event, I mean, the chairman, he stood up and his speech, it was excuses. And as a Republican voter, I mean, I might be a candidate, but I'm a Republican voter, and I'm like, this is the person that's running our Central Committee. This is the person that's going to support candidates.
Right.
And he was saying, oh, we don't have enough help. We don't have this. And I'm like, so I got up. I was the second to last to speak, and I held up our 5 slates from the CRA as well as his slate. And I'm like, look at all these people that want to do something in our community. People are fed up, and they're not willing to necessarily become political refugees and move to Idaho or Florida or Tennessee. And, it's time to end the excuse game and own it.
Right.
And I think, the question was, how do we see change? I think raising awareness. I've actually, in our Central Committee meetings, I was there early waiting for it to start. And we got on the topic of email lists. How many people do you email to let them know this meeting is occurring? Well, we have 2 email lists.
Isn't it funny how suddenly we're seeing the public outreach?
Right.
And we've been begging for it for 3 years.
Yeah, they said they had 2 email lists, one with a couple hundred and one with a couple thousand. And we have 500,000 registered voters in Ventura County. Why are we telling maybe 2,000 about our meetings? Well, what if everyone showed up? Are you worried
wrong
about
with that?
having a vibrant working party?
We'll
Are you
take it
worried?
outside to the park is what I would say. Let's go.
If too many people show up, we can rent a bigger room and tell them $5 a person. We
Yeah,
gotta pay
and
the
make
rent on that.
money.
Yeah.
And to validate what Don's saying is, Move the Needle did a survey to people that are grassroots activists, and 83% of them had no idea
Right.
what the Central Committee does or who they are. And as we're campaigning and walking and knocking on doors, 1 out of 200 might know what they do, and that's only because they know a political candidate. So really, there's zero outreach from the Central Committee to the community.
And I think it's creative the way that they just call it Central Committee. Why isn't it called the Ventura County GOP?
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll do that. We're going to send that out to the voters out there. Give us your answer on that one.
Yeah, give us that answer, guys.
And for the October meeting, I got the invite 27 hours before the start of the meeting. I mean, if it wasn't already on my calendar and I knew about it, it doesn't seem like they really want the public there.
Well, they did last night.
So that's what needs to change.
Since we've been running, there's a lot of, they're hustling. I've never seen this much action in the party.
Right.
Well, that's what needs to change right now, right? Is what we're talking about is like we can bitch all we want, right? But what we're trying to do is get up there and say, listen, we need somebody who's in charge of social media.
Yeah.
We need a dedicated person that's in charge of community outreach.
Fundraising.
We need somebody for fundraising. We need somebody that's responsible for candidates. And underneath that person under candidates, you're assigned to school board. You're assigned to the supervisor. You're assigned to the assembly and the state and Congress. This way we don't have to retrain ourselves. That person can train any of the next candidates for the next 2 years and keep them going. You need to have a team that apply to the whole, God bless you.
No, thank you.
But we need a whole team of people in order to get the victories we want, just like a football team.
So we need to enlarge the sandbox?
Well,
Yes.
you know, and isn't that interesting that you would say that? Because I think that that's part of the problem. You've got the people that are elected right now, and they keep everything really quiet between each other.
Yeah.
And what if they reached out to community and say, you know, we're going to build a committee on this? And what if you took a leader from each district and had them coordinate? Why aren't we coordinating with the grassroots clubs? Why is the party attacking grassroots clubs?
Right.
That's what's happening right now, and it's unacceptable.
Yeah, well, maybe we just make a commitment right here, Lori, that regardless of what happens, we all have great ideas.
100%.
We
Absolutely.
could sit down and create a strategic document, and even if we're not the chair people or we're not elected, we could still bring our ideas in. What the challenge is they don't go ask us for ideas.
Well, they don't want them.
Well, maybe not. Maybe they don't know what's best. But sometimes if you have, you could be a great CEO and you don't know anything.
Well,
But if you had a good team under you, you can be a successful company. And we need to be
100%.
that successful group under whoever it is and help win. And that's really
Well,
what
and
it's
I'll
about.
walk it back a little bit because I will say that one thing that did happen is I was asked, how would you raise money? And one of the ideas that I said was really easy. I said, do a movie night to our Simi Valley caucus chair. And he's like, oh, that's a good idea. So he did a couple, they weren't done the way I would have, but he did take my advice on that. So they did listen, but it was just odd to me. I mean, we want to unite, further the party, make some money, get some wins under our belt, get our state back.
Yeah.
Why would people push back on that? You know what? If I don't get elected, it doesn't mean I'm not going to work hard anymore. Yeah. But they have to start respecting the people again. And right now, the lack of respect is just mind-blowing to me.
There's a reason I keep reiterating that people are not the enemy. They're the opportunity.
Exactly.
Don, can you bring us up on the school board? You ran for school board, is that
Yeah.
right? So we're talking very high level on the central committee stuff, but
Local,
But what
local.
about school board, which is really a nonpartisan position?
It should be.
It should be a nonpartisan position. Should the central committee participate and help school board candidates?
Oh, I definitely think so. So many elected offices on a local level are technically nonpartisan. However, everything in America has become partisan. So
Yes.
it's not good enough to simply say a school board's nonpartisan. So many times I would knock on a door and a voter immediately would ask, well, are you Republican or Democrat? And I would say, well, eventually I got to where I don't even dodge the question anymore. I just tell them, I hope all school board trustees do what's best for the kids. Mm-hmm. However, I am a registered Republican. Some thought that was good. Some thought it was bad. It could go either way. But it's not about the party. It's about what's best for the students. That being said, as members of the Republican Party, active members of the Republican Party, we do believe that the Republican Party has good ideas about what's good for students, what's good for schools, what's good for families, what's good for communities, and we'd like to see those ideas implemented in the school district. So I would love to see...
And pouring out.
And what?
And pouring out.
Exactly. Things in school need to be appropriate.
Protect the children.
Right. So Yeah, we definitely need to see Central Committee working hard on school board races. We can't just focus on Congress.
Or out of state Congress.
Well, plus the amount of money that you need for a school board to win is infinitesimal compared to Congress, where you might need $1 million.
A few million dollars.
$10,000 goes a long way
Right.
for a school board, because they have a very small area in a district of 10,000 homes.
Right.
And really, you're just trying to reach those parents that or grandparents that have a kid that they want to protect. They don't want to be indoctrinated on the progressive methods of life.
And let me just say, too, that I think that something that's important about school board is recognizing the unions will always go against a Republican candidate. And that's really unfortunate, because we have really good ideas to protect our children. And Don was an incredible candidate. And I can tell you, they went after him guns a-blazing. And I think that we ended up with a girl in the school board that wasn't her husband into kid drag shows or something.
There's been comments made online by the trustee's husband. You know, I don't want to presume to know what he does in his spare time, but there were comments made online that, you know, there's no problem with these activities. These activities are good for students, good for the community. And a lot of us just wanted to get that word out that, you know, this is what you're getting in this candidate. You know, you're getting a candidate whose family members may disagree with you. And
Right.
as long as you know what you're getting.
Well, you know, one of the reasons I ran for the state assembly is I found out that my son was taught about sex toys in school.
Right.
That is inappropriate. It is not their job to teach my kid about sex. I mean, you know, uterus, things like that, the biology of it all. And now, you know, they get to choose if they're a boy or a girl. What the heck?
Right.
Yeah.
There is two sexes, folks. There's men and women, X or Y chromosomes. There's no changing that.
And a lot of people that I've talked to in Camarillo, they're not aware that in the middle schools, in the boys' bathroom, there's feminine hygiene products.
That's a state law. Yeah.
And it's, you know, it's interesting.
State assembly, folks, pay attention to those races.
I mean, how do you teach your children right from wrong? I mean, I've got a 6.5-year-old daughter, and I've got 2 nephews and a young son. How do you teach them right from wrong if there's not truth being told?
Right.
Right.
Well, parents are waking up, because if you look at the school count, I'm not sure what the right word is here, but
Yeah.
the number of kids that are
Enrollment,
are leaving by the hundreds and hundreds and thousands and going to homeschooling or going to a private school. The challenge is the private schools are full now, so now they're beginning to homeschool. And I think that's a sure sign that the parents are waking up. We just need people to vote for the reason why they're leaving.
Right.
Is because it's their kids are not being taught reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Yeah, it's abysmal.
You know, you're seeing questions online that says, "Are you cisgender? Are you transgender? You know, how do you identify? What's your pronouns?" Versus, you know, can you do your multiplication tables?
Absolutely.
Do
Yeah.
you know how
and-
to balance a checkbook? Yeah.
You know, that was the one blessing of COVID. We got to see what our kids were being taught.
Yeah.
That was the one blessing in COVID. And, you know, we watched businesses being destroyed. You know, and I applaud people like Rob McCoy, who kept his church open.
Absolutely.
Matt Bermajan, who kept his restaurant open. You look at all the businesses that were destroyed over tyrannical rule, and it's just disgusting. So what do you guys think about, you know, one thing that happened when I ran for office, too, that was very disappointing. I keep hearing our parties say that, oh, our elections are safe and secure. I think you guys all know that my son, a Marine, came home from boot camp, filled out his ballot, stuck it in the mail, and went off to Pensacola, because that's where they had stationed him. His vote never arrived. What do you guys think as a party that we could do differently? I don't think mass mail-in voting is safe nor secure. And now they're trying to push ranked choice voting on us, which is a nightmare. And again, until we get balance in the state assembly and state senate, this isn't going to change, guys. We're
Right.
up against a very hard thing. What do you think?
Well, first thing is people need to come out and vote.
Yes.
Right, during the recall Newsom, and we all should know that this guy is bad, news for our state.
Yeah, I hear how he's doing all this good stuff for the water now. It's like, are you kidding me?
But only 50% of Republicans came out to vote.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't that be 100%?
Well, and
come out?
even with those statistics that we were talking about, if all the Republicans voted, we'd win.
Yeah.
But a lot of Republican voters are disenfranchised
Apathetic.
Because
the
they're ticked
Republican
at the
Party.
party.
Because they're ticked
Yep.
at the party. But the other thing is, the big debate is whether you vote early or vote on election day,
Right.
right? And I hear it from both sides.
See, I'm good on early, but I'm good on early in person.
Right,
But I would like photo ID and hand counts.
Right.
But there's only some things we can do because the state laws are dictating certain things. So their hands are tied
Yeah.
for our county supervisors. Like, we can't get rid of vote by mail. Can't do it. But we could, the reason why.
Well, and absentee ballots were fine, but this mass mail-in voting is something that's totally different.
Well, if you wouldn't take $100 and stick it in the mail, and if I wanted to give you $100, I wouldn't stick it in the mail and mail it to you. I don't trust the
Right.
mail like that.
Well-
so why are we sticking our ballots in the mail?
Well, and again, when my son's vote didn't arrive, I talked to
Exactly.
Mark Lund face to face and said, "What the heck?" And I talked to the post office. He said, "Go to the post office." I got a, "Oh, well, oops. If it happened to my son, it happened to others."
Right.
And every legal vote should count.
Absolutely.
Especially for a military member that is serving our country.
Yeah.
Right. I think one of the big problems, there are a lot of state laws that we can't get around, but there are things that we can improve. So signature verification. I talk to so many people, I'm sure all of you have, that, oh, well, my family member was traveling. They were out of the country for 2 months. I filled it out and signed it for them and turned it in. My family member, they were in an accident and their hand got smashed, and now they can't really sign with their hand anymore.
Wow.
Well, so this signature does not match the signature on file, but they were never called.
Right.
So this whole idea that everything's 100% great, well, I hear personal stories from people that either tell me that, we've kind of committed fraud, or my signature does not match, and they don't get caught.
Okay, so guys, this hour went really fast. We're
One
going to
thing
have to do it again. One thing I do want to bring up is I want all of you to be able to tell people where to find you on social media. For those of you that want to follow me, my active account is on X, Lori Mills what's my Twitter handle? I totally forgot. Tell yours. Lori Mills for the number CA42. I never look for myself. So yeah, Lori Mills, the number 4 CA42. What are your Twitter handles, social media handles?
Yeah, for running for Central Committee, the website is McCarthy, the number 4, VCGOP.com. And for Move the Needle, it's we have an Instagram at Move the Needle USA.
Okay.
And also our website is movetheneedle-ca.org.
Okay, and what about social media?
Yeah, I got Twitter too. It's a
Grow his Twitter.
Twitter account, but I got suspended. I had, 5 to 10,000 followers, and I got suspended prior to Elon Musk
See,
coming in.
I was completely banned off all social media in 2020, and I had to rebuild my everything.
Yeah, but we're on Facebook under, under
Facebook sucks.
Move the Needle. Well, yeah, they're all ghosting.
Well, the FBI are still operating within.
I'm actually a bit of a Luddite. I don't really use social media too much.
Okay, so to find you, they have to go knock on your front door. What's your
They can knock
address?
on my front door or send an email. Emails are fine.
Okay.
You can reach me at Don, D-O-N, at vote, the number 4, Brodt, B as in boy, R-O, D as in David, T as in Tom, vote4brodt.com.
And
I'm on Twitter, Richard C. Lucas, III, for the 3rd on Twitter. I do have a Facebook page for my candidacy, Richard Lucas III, at, Richard C. Lucas III.
I know, it's weird when you have to say what
yeah,
your own
'cause
address is. I should know
you
that
have
by
it in
heart.
your phone, you don't look yourself up.
Right.
For VC GOP Central Committee, and then I have a LinkedIn account as well. Real quick, I wanted to get back to something about the
Okay,
voting.
we've got to wrap up because of
Vote.
timing.
Vote. If you don't
Yeah.
vote, they don't have to cheat, though.
Yeah, now one thing that we do want to bring up before closing is we are having a candidate event that is going to be like nothing you've ever been to. It's called Karaoke with the Candidates. And basically, You're not going to hear a whole bunch of long, drawn out speeches. We're going to pay for the candidates to sing. And if they
Oh, goodness.
suck, you can pay to gong them. But it's going to be a bar atmosphere, really fun. We've got U.S. Senator candidates coming. We've got congressional candidates coming. It's coming. State Assembly candidates coming. So it's going to be a really good time. You can scan the QR code that's being placed on screen right now and buy your tickets there. Do not hesitate to buy. Get them bought. And Uncover California will be back again in about 3 weeks. I've got a trip to Mar-a-Lago and this event. We just thought that it was really important to educate you guys on what the Central Committee is. Please share this video. Please share our clips. And just know, the 4 of us are ready to be your voice. We're ready to work for you. Any closing statements, boys?
I just want to thank you, Lori, for inviting us and for trying to educate the public out there on this vital position.
Yep. And let's bring unity back to the party.
Exactly.
You know,
Thank you, Lori.
guys.
they got to accept us MAGA people. It just has to happen because let's make America great again.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
That's right.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.